G'day, my name's Alan Gamble. Welcome to another episode of Aussie Box Office Charts for weekend 30, where we have the Odyssey holding very, very steady. Let's dive in. So, starting with the top 5, looks very similar to last week, with only one new entry, but look, at number 1, holding incredibly strong, is the Odyssey. In its second week, bringing in another $11.4 million, dropping just 15% in its second week of release for a current total of $29.7 million. So that, as far as Christopher Nolan holds, is incredibly good. Technically, it's his third best hold, but we'll dive into those numbers after the top 10. But all of his other movies that have held better open significantly lower than that. For context, the Odyssey in its second weekend, if we take a look at the top openers of 2026, the second weekend of the Odyssey would be number 2 on this chart at $11.4 million, beating out the opening of The Devil Wears Prada 2 with its $11 million opening. At number 2, Moana, the live action, with another $1.2 million, dropping a heavy 58% in its third week of release for a current total of $14.3 million. Toy Story 5 stays at number 3 with another $1.1 million, dropping 59% in its sixth week of release for a current total of $44.1 million, chasing down the highest grossing movie of 2026. We'll dive into that later. Minions and Monsters at number 4 with another $800,000, its fifth week in release, dropping 64% for a current total of $22.3 million. And then the new entry in the top 5 is Jana Nayagan with $670,000 for its opening weekend. It is a Tamil language action drama out of India. Moving on to 6 through 10, The Invite slides down to number 6, holding really well with another $400,000, its third weekend release, dropping just 12% for a current total of just over $2 million. Obsession drops down to number 7 with another $280,000. Its 11th week in release, dropping 28% for a current total of $24.3 million. Evil Dead Burn has a more typical horror drop-off, dropping another 50% in its third week of release, bringing in another $150,000 for a current total of $1.6 million. Jackass Best and Last at number 9 with another $112,000 in its fourth week of release, dropping 56% for a current total of $2.9 million. And then rounding out the top 10 is Colours of Time with $90,000 in its opening week, which is a French comedy drama. So first, diving into Christopher Nolan's week 2 drops. This chart is a little bit confusing, but what you're looking at there is the blue bar is their week 1 performance, and their red bar is its week 2 performance. The percentage drop is at the end. So the lowest drop on a week 1 to week 2 was Interstellar with 9.3%. Memento is number 2 with an 11.7 week 2 drop, but if you look at that amount, that opened to significantly lower than anything. It's sub $1 million. So it was very limited release. It was a slow rollout all the way back then. Odyssey at number 3 with a 15% drop, going from $13.4 million to $11.4 million. What normally happens with these movies that open over $10 million, if we have a look down the bottom with The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, 50% drop, 36% drop. That is much more standard for a big movie that opens over $10 million. The Dark Knight Rises opened to $15.1 million and its week 2 was $7.4 million. The Dark Knight opened to $12.1 million and its second week was $7.7 million. So much bigger drop off, they're more front loaded. So what we're seeing here with the Odyssey is really, really, really impressive. Moving on with Christopher Nolan and his totals, the Odyssey has moved up this chart. This is total gross at the Australian box office for Christopher Nolan movies. And the Odyssey has just passed Interstellar and Dunkirk from 2014 and 2017 respectively. It is now chasing down Inception. It's probably easily going to catch Inception, and it's going to be hot on the tails of Oppenheimer, The Dark Knight Rises, and quite possibly even The Dark Knight from 2008. If we adjust these for inflation though, it has a little bit more work to go It's still easily going to pass Dunkirk, and it's going to catch Oppenheimer. Then it does have a bit of a climb to Inception, The Dark Knight Rises, and The Dark Knight. I don't think it's going to get up to The Dark Knight adjusted total gross of $71.5 million, but it could catch The Dark Knight Rises. We will keep an eye on it as we move forward. And since Supergirl has closed her domestic run, well, it's out of the top 10. It's still there, but it's bringing in, well, under $90,000. It is not going to move any further up this chart. Supergirl from 2026 is the fourth highest super family movie, which sounds okay, until you realize the competition is Superman 2, Superman 3, Supergirl from 1984, and Superman The Quest for Peace. So not good company and much, much older movies. If we adjust these for inflation, it looks a little bit worse. Supergirl 2026 adjusted for inflation, its total gross is only beating Supergirl from 1984 and Superman The Quest for Peace. That's probably not what DC wanted. Like, it wasn't a great movie, but I still liked it. So, look, I know I'm in the minority with this one, but box office wise, there's no sugarcoating it. It bombed hard. Moving on to the 2026 top 10 at the Australian box office. I did skip this one by accident last week. It was tacked onto the end, but I did forget to go through it. This is what it currently looks like. Michael is at number 1 with $45.9 million. Hot on its tail is Toy Story 5 at number 2 that moves up, knocking The Devil Wears Prada down. Toy Story 5 sitting at $44.1 million, and The Devil Wears Prada 2 was around $43.1 million. Super Mario Galaxy movie at $39.5 million, and Project Hail Mary at $39.3 million, round out 4 and 5. At number 6, we have the new entry, the Odyssey, storming into the chart with $29.7 million. That obviously drops down Obsession to number 7 with $24.3 million. Minions and Monsters goes down to number 8 with its $22.3 million. $20.3 million for Wuthering Heights goes down to number 9. And Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu goes down to number 10 with its $15.2 million. Dropping out of the Australian top 10 for the 2026 box office is Backrooms. But don't worry, Star Wars and The Mandalorian and Grogu will probably be gone next week, if not the week after, because we have a new Spider-Man coming. Speaking of the new Spider-Man, on upcoming releases, there isn't much. Nothing wants to get in the way of Spider-Man, and obviously that is the big one. The latest big MCU movie, but also the follow-up to No Way Home, which did incredibly massive numbers. I'll be seeing this one on Thursday, and it's directed by Destin Daniel Cretton and starring all the usual Spider crew, Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Sadie Sink. In limited release, so check your smaller and indie cinemas if you don't want to watch Spider-Man. You have The Blue Trail, a Portuguese drama with some sci-fi elements, and Bon Voyage Marie, aka We Will Go, which is a French language comedy drama. On streaming, we obviously have quite a bit more to look at. New releases, we have Nightborn, a new Finnish horror movie directed by Hannah Bergholm and can be found on Shudder on July 31st. And then we've got a lot of returning series. Ted Lasso, after wrapping up a few years ago, Apple TV Plus is bringing it back for another season and it releases on August 4th. I really enjoyed that show, I'll probably catch that one. Futurama, the former Fox comedy, is returning again, this time for season 11 on Disney Plus or Hulu on the 4th of August. We have Special Ops Lioness, the spy series, returning for its 3rd season on Paramount Plus on the 2nd of August. Batman Caped Crusader, the Amazon Prime Batman animated series, returning for its 2nd season on 31st of July. And The Ark, the sci-fi series, returns for its 3rd season on Sci-Fi on the 30th of July, but it can be found on Binge a few weeks later for those that don't. August 25th, I believe, is the Binge release date. 30th of July is the Sci-Fi release date if you have other means at your disposal. So, 4 movies for this week's movie theme challenge of the theme of debuts. So let's dive in. First up was a 2026 release of Is God Is, the directorial debut of Alicia Harris, starring Cara Young, Mallory Johnson, and Sterling K. Brown. Giving us a modern Greek tragedy revenge tale for 2 young women, this was a pretty solid crime thriller for 2026. Not mind-blowing, but it did have some nice flares and some nice style. I think the director has great things in future. Also, seeing Sterling K. Brown in a much creepier role than he normally plays was certainly a time. Next up was another 2026 catch-up movie, Masters of the Universe, directed by Travis Knight and starring Nicholas Galzatine, Camila Mendes, Idris Elba, and Alison Brie. The latest 80s toy franchise with its movie adaptation. While this one was a fun ride with lots of colour, I think for me it was Travis Knight's weakest movie, with Bumblebee and Kubo and the Two Strings being much better. This movie kinda tried to play it like it was explaining why the dumb things were dumb, in that modern, cynical way that I'm kinda sick of. Movies just need to embrace the serious and have the dumb things adapted to grounded and real and just ignore the stupid stuff, or embrace the stupidity of the IP you were working with. Next was The King of Fighters from 2009, directed by Gordon Chan and starring Maggie Q, Sean Faris, and Ray Park. An older Hollywood adaptation of a fighting video game series of the same name. This one was really bad, but it was at times bad enough to the point of being funny, and I'll take entertainingly bad over boring bad any day of the week. But for most people, you will probably want to skip this one. Finally was Circle from 2015, the directorial debut of Aaron Han and Mario Mosconi, and starring Julie Benz, Carter Jenkins, and Mercy Malik. A group of strangers awake, stuck in a room that starts picking them off one by one every few minutes, and they need to work together to figure out what's going on. This was 100% my type of movie, and I should have watched it years ago. It was on my watch list for years, but it's done now, and it's a great single-room bottle movie that keeps it tense, and it was also fun seeing racists and homophobes get KO'd. This week's challenge theme is reuniting. So, movies that feature a reuniting of characters, or movies about trying to reunite. So, we've got a few examples there, and there's a few get out of jail free cards, but a few people have kicked us off with Fast Color, It Chapter 2, Persuasion, we've got Finding Nemo, or Flight Plan, or Interstellar, Missing, Marriage Story. We've got lots to choose from, we'll see how we go. My shortlist is actually kind of short. We have River there from Japan. We have Izzy Gets the Heck Across Town. We have Paris, Texas, La Chimera. The new Spider-Man will count this weekend. Old Boy, Man on Fire, Fast Color. We'll see how we go. That is it for me this week. I'll be catching Spider-Man on Thursday, and we will be crunching all of the Spider-Man numbers next weekend. Spider-Man is predicted to do pretty well. Could easily be the biggest opening of 2026. How will it stack up against other Spider-Man movies? We will see. How will it stack up against the rest of the MCU? We will also find out here next week. Feel free to like, follow, subscribe, and come back here next week and find out how Spider-Man does. Until then, watch more movies. Bye.